Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now, first of all, a very warm welcome to The Verse. I may have intimated in my first video that this game is huge, and as you can see, I was not kidding. Now, I've gone down the route of eschewing the nice, heavy, high quality boards for an expansion that was brought out called the whole damn verse, basically, and it's a nylon map, which basically is all the boards, and it just makes transporting this game so much less weighty. So what I'm hoping to do today is show you how the game is set up and play you through a couple of turns just so you can see how it functions. You'll see what I mean about it being a sandbox with almost limitless options in terms of player actions, but you are, of course, guided towards an ultimate goal. Of course, how you get there is entirely up to you. So before I do anything else, I'm just going to pan around and show you what everything is. Obviously, we have the verse as we know it from one end to the other. There's Alliance core space, and there's the border space areas with a few systems attached. And then, of course, at the very extremities, we've got the rim, the outer rim. Up there, we've got the dreaded Reavers, who are, of course, waiting to wander around and start causing havoc. We have the Alliance patrol cruiser, which always starts near the capital of Londinium. And because I have the Kalidasa expansion, we also have the Alliance operative corvette. So it's another Alliance ship that's going to cause us trouble. Now, if I step back a bit, you'll see the board is surrounded by various cards and other bits and pieces. And this is what I didn't get a chance to show you in too much detail in my first video. So this array of folks here are the various contacts that you can deal with. So Badger, who's at the top, is based here at Persephone. So if you want to deal with him, your ship has to physically be in that system. Down here, we have the navigational hazards divided between Alliance, border, and rim space. So depending on where you're going and how far you're traveling, chances are you may trigger some of these. There'll be either nothing happening, sometimes a good thing, sometimes a bad thing. You never know. Now, I've set up the game from the perspective of two players. There is a solitaire option in this system where you simply apply a timer and you have to achieve your goals by the time the timer runs out. But I thought it would be fun to imagine that there were two of us. Now, you've noticed these start with some cards removed. In games comprising 3 players or fewer, the reshuffle cards always start in the discard pile so that you have some chance of getting through the deck. Down here we have the individual ship cards. Now I'll just introduce you to my vessel, the Bonnie May. So standard Firefly class ship. I've decided to be commanded by the charming but also extremely naughty Atherton Wing. You start with a certain number of fuel tokens and spare parts tokens, 3 grand in cash. And these are job cards. I'll explain how I've chosen these later on. But just so you can see who my opposition is, there's this salvage scow, the SS Walden, commanded by the almost as handsome as me, but, boringly moral Captain Malcolm Reynolds. Could be worse. The man could have decided to buy himself a Firefly in a different universe. You never know. And of course, down the other end of the map, we have the various different systems where you can buy stuff. So the Space Bazaar is over here, and just so happens to share a space with Amnon Dool, who's one of the contacts you can deal with. So that's quite a useful trading hub. And then you have places like Beaumont and Meridian. Beaumont is over there, Meridian's on the far side of the known galaxy. Well, not galaxy, system, I should say, system. Now up here, we have the wanted posters. Those are for people that if you decide you want to go down the bounty hunting route as a money earner, they're the government's current most wanted. And you'll notice a young man named Jane is there. So he's obviously attracted a lot of attention. I am playing the Alliance Alert slant on the scenario. So we have problems if we hire criminals. That card, criminal sighting. If you hire a criminal or a wanted person on a planet, it's much harder to hire another one. And then, of course, there's the aim to misbehave deck. Now, that's another important component because some of the jobs you take on will require you to misbehave, and the challenges you face will be in that deck. So wish me luck there. So much for the board and broadly what's going on. Oh yes, of course, you have the inevitable money. Gonna need this. The first thing you do when setting up a game of Firefly is decide on your scenario. Now, because I quite like the shooty bang bang, I've decided to play Patience as War. And if my camera will focus, come on technology. Come on. You're not going to do it, are you? Okay, well, anyway, Patience, one of the contacts in this game, has decided that she's going to push her rivals out. And she's looking for crews with enough guns and little enough common sense to help further her cause. Ah, finally. So the way you get through this scenario is all crews in this game are competing to show themselves worthy to be Patience's heavies. So the first thing you have to do in the game, get yourself solid with both Patience and Mr. Universe. You have to do that. You get solid with a contact by completing missions for them successfully. Once you've done that, you can then move into goal number 1, which is to have a gunfight at Silverhold. And then goal number 2, which is to have a fight at Three Hills, Georgia. And finally, goal number 3, yep, you guessed it, another gunfight at Deadwood. So this is going to be a combat-heavy mission. Just to complicate this scenario, I've decided that the corresponding sheet, the overall status in the verse, will be that of Alliance High Alert. So the feds are on high alert and are going to be very, very intolerant of any nonsense. So you see, every time you misbehave, it's going to trigger an alliance effect. Not only that, normally you can deal with Harkin, who is a contact who lives on the command cruiser over there. This time you can't, because with the alliance on high alert, he's not dealing with any lowlifes. Now, Harkin isn't the most useful contact. I'm so sorry about this. My camera's having a bit of a bad day. Harkin is not the most useful contact. He has some small jobs that you can do, and he does sell you fuel from time to time, but to be perfectly honest, we won't miss him. So anyway, these cards are also handy for showing, for noting the changes in the standard order of setup. So prepare the Alliance Alert cards first, prepare the Nav decks, place the Alliance and Reaver ship. Now the critical thing for players is choosing ships and leaders. So what I did was I rolled for both myself and my hypothetical player too. I managed to win the roll, so I got to choose my ship and my crew first. It's quite an advantage because you get to look through the stack of ships and choose the one you want. So I selected the Bonnie May because I quite like the Firefly class. They have a reasonable turn of speed, pretty good cargo capacity, and they can accommodate 6 crew in, yourself and 5 others. It's not too bad. And having first choice of captain, I decided I would go for the handsome, aristocratic, and let's face it, very misunderstood Atherton Wing. For my opponent, I thought it would be hilarious, having picked the ship I wanted first, to take Malcolm Reynolds, the main character of the Firefly series, and put him in command of a somewhat unglamorous salvage vessel, the SS Walden. His ship is much slower, Well, marginally slower. However, it's not all bad for him because although he's slow, his ship does not suffer from the heavy load penalty, which means he can always move up to his maximum speed if he wants to. And as you can see, he has a ton more cargo space than I do. Very handy if you're hauling a load of stolen stuff. Legitimate tradable goods that you wish to flog. So, in a sense, we're balanced out. Now, because I got a chance to choose the ship first, it's only fair that Malcolm got a chance to place his vessel first, and he decided he would start at Osiris. Osiris is a good world to choose generally because you have an awful lot of ship tech there. So if you want to upgrade your vessel, it's a reasonable place to start. It's also a source of trained professionals, especially medics and navigators, so quite useful people. For my part, I decided to begin over in Persephone over there. Puts me in touch with Badger and his criminal gang in case I need to raise some money by doing dirty jobs. Persephone also is a good all-rounder in terms of stuff you can buy and people you can hire. There's a reasonable smattering of pilots, fair bit of muscle, so I figure that is a good place for me to start. Now, there is an element of guesswork here because when you place your ships, the action known as priming the pump has not yet happened. So once you've placed your ships and got your starting jobs, the top 3 cards of all those decks are turned over, so you finally get a look at what's available when you go to market. You may luck out and find you're in the right place for where you want to be, or you may suddenly think, oh no, there's somebody I really want in that other system. Rats. Okay, let's not hang around. Let's head over there. Now, I start with the initiative, having won it initially. In this game, you do get a cardboard Stegosaurus. For the benefit of those few who have never heard of Firefly, one of the crewmen on the Serenity Wash has these very, very charming toy dinosaurs, and he used them to great and amusing effect in the first episode. I decided as soon as I bought this game that a mere cardboard Steggy is not going to do justice to Wash. So not only did I get a proper Stegosaurus, I got the accompanying Tyrannosaurus Rex as well. Now, these serve no function in game terms other than to indicate who has the current initiative. And when it stops being my turn, I will, of course, hand them over to Captain Reynolds. Now, normally, in a standard scenario, you would get to draw one job from most of the contacts on the board. That would be the row of people on the left over there. And choose the 3 you like most. But in the scenario that I've picked, things are slightly different. When it's Alliance High Alert, you each draw 3 starting jobs from any contact or combination of contacts that you'd like. This is really handy given that there's only 2 contacts in this game, or in this scenario I should say, that we really have to please. Of course, Patience, naturally, and Mr. Universe. So I decided that it was worth going for 2 jobs from Patience and 1 from Mr. Universe. Now, Patience's jobs in game terms are fairly straightforward. She just wants you to beat down the opposition usually. Her jobs are often illegal, sometimes they're immoral, so it's lucky I'm Atherton Wing because I'm not bothered by issues of morality. They're both not too far away from Patience's home base. Now, I am going to do some hiring because I do not have anyone with the grifter skill, it's just me. And the requirements for this other job are 2 combat skill. Now, Atherton on his own can chat the chat, but unfortunately he's not quite where he should be on fighting skill. So I'm going to have to think about those. Mr. Universe is an interesting one because you don't do jobs for him in isolation. His jobs bolt onto other people's. So I've got this job from him. which is not too painful, I don't think. Come on, camera. Yeah, negotiating is prohibited. Well, that actually works very well for me because there is no negotiating in these jobs, which is a bit sneaky, but it means that I can get the benefit of this simply by plugging it into whichever job I start for patient. So that was very lucky. Now Malcolm, and I've done this to be a bit more thematic, did the opposite because broadly speaking he gets on better with Mr. Universe than he does with patients. So he's taken on one possible job for patients, which is tough. He's going to have to do some hiring as well. Um, and two from Mr. Universe. Now, these are slightly trickier because they add to the misbehaving criminal burden. So, Malcolm is going to have to think very carefully and have a look at who he hires for his crew before deciding which of these to plug into that job. And so we are now ready to start the game. Now, oh yes, before we do anything else, I shall quickly move over here so that I can prime the pump. It is worth paying close attention during this phase of the game. You can always, at any point during the game, even when it's not your turn, inspect the discard piles because these will be where you're drawing a lot of your ideas for what you wish to purchase. And also, if you're looking out for any individuals with particular talents, it's always a good idea to keep an eye on these. Even if someone else is drawing them, you're always permitted to look. And actually, to be perfectly honest, it speeds up a great deal if you spend a lot of other players' turns thinking ahead to what you want to do and what you want to achieve. So, the prime is pumped, and it is my turn. So, in order to get somewhere, I really need to do some hiring. There are 4 possible actions you can take in this game on your turn, and you can choose 2 of them every turn. The first is move. Now, there's 2 kinds of movement. There's moseying, where you simply move 1 space. That does not trigger any random events, and you do not have to burn fuel. You're just trolling along slowly, not upsetting anybody. If you're in a bit of a hurry, you can go to full burn. And what full burn involves is you pay off one of your fuel tokens and you move up to the maximum range specified on your drive core card. And this is where it gets risky. If you go to full burn, you are obliged to start drawing cards from the navigation decks over there, depending on where you are. So there's a risk to be balanced. Do you want to go forging ahead, or do you want to take a more measured pace? It all depends. That's movement. Another action you can take is when you're at a location with a contact, as I am over there, you can meet with said contact and you can choose 3 cards to consider jobs. First of all, you look in their discard pile. At the moment, they're all empty. And you can choose up to 3 jobs from the discard pile. If you choose fewer than 3 to consider, you can make up the number by drawing fresh cards. So let's say Patience had 4 cards in her job discard pile. I like the look of 2 of them, but I still have that 3rd slot. I then draw a card from the deck and see what I get. Now, the way things work in this game when you're choosing jobs is it's consider 3 and you can choose up to 2. There is a further limit. Your hand size can never contain more than 3 jobs, and you can have no more than 3 active jobs at one go. So that's talking to a contact. The third activity you can perform is purchasing stuff. Now, that can either be fresh parts and fuel. You can purchase them at any major planet with a market, I'll call it a market on it, or you can purchase things from the planet's deck, what it has to offer, really. And this works exactly in the same way as it does when you're talking to a contact. You choose up to 3 cards to consider, making up the balance by drawing cards if you so wish. And it's a matter of considering 3 and buying up to 2. If you wish, instead of doing that, you can give your crew shore leave. There are certain times in this game where your crew will become upset, and this is called being disgruntled. They get a disgruntled token. If your crew is unhappy, you can make them happy by granting them shore leave, paying them 100 credits each and just turning them loose. This will make them happy again, but to balance that morale factor, you can't do any shopping if you give your crew shore leave, so that's something to consider. The final 4th action that you can take is begin a job. So these, when they're in your hand, remain hidden from the other players. However, when you start a job, you place it down next to your ship card and announce that you're starting it. And once you've started a job, other players can inspect it to see what you're up to. That takes an action, but you can begin working through the job immediately, and you only halt if you either botch it. Botching allows you to try again the next turn. It's a temporary failure. Or if it goes really badly wrong and a warrant is issued and the job is discarded, it goes back to the discard pile of the player who issued it. If you complete a job, you take the money and any other bonuses you get from it, turn it round and place it next to your ship with this side up to show that you are now solid with the contact who engaged you, and you can now sell them stuff in addition to the other benefits of being solid with them. So those are the 4 actions. The only other restriction is that you cannot do the same action twice, so you can't take 2 consecutive move actions, for instance. Now, a final word about working a job. If you happen to be stuck on a world, let's say this ship is en route to a job somewhere else, but it's stuck on the dirtball planet of Valentine and can do nothing else, you are allowed to do what they call make work, where, I don't know, waiting on tables, that kind of thing. You just get 200 credits, and it's nothing fancy, but every little helps. So, the game begins with me, and I have placed my ship on the charming, charming world of Persephone. So, the first thing I'm going to do is do a bit of hiring. Now, looking at what's in Persephone's discard pile, I'm not overly impressed. There's a couple of mudders, but these guys are indentured labourers, really. There's also navigational charts of rim space, but again, I'm a bit underwhelmed by that. I'm not too interested in the outer rim, to be honest, because if I want to impress patience, I'm really going to have to focus on getting some muscle. I really need someone who's good at beating other people up or shooting them. Or I need someone who's good at cheating, a grifter, basically. So I'm not going to go for any of the cards in Persephone's discard pile, but I'm going to draw 3. What have I got? I've got a ship upgrade, caravan pods for extra passengers, and it improves your maximum crew. That could be useful. I've got a scrapper, but he's a mechanic. No. Ooh. I have a grifter who knows how to cook the books. Okay. Maybe what I need to do is take that job, because I just need a grifter to get that done, although could be dangerous, but I think I am going to hire myself a grifter. I'm definitely taking him. Now, what of the other two? That's tempting, but I don't have such an abundance of crew yet that I need the space. The scrapper's not up to much, but he is a mechanic, and in this game, mechanics are essential to keeping you in the sky. So I think the two, I'll put that in the discard pile. And the two that I am going to hire, these fine-looking, upstanding citizens, will be added to my crew. And I shall give one of those to the bank and get 500 back. Ka-ching. So the 64,000 credit question is, what shall I do next? My ship and crew now look like this. So we've bulked out a tiny bit. Now, in order to do the job that needs a grifter, I need to get over to robbing heaven in the Kalidasa system. Okay, so we are here, and heaven in Kalidasa is all the way over there. I'm thinking that I might take the slightly long route round and either go to Beaumont, which is over there, or to Space Bazaar, which is over there, and see if I can hire more people on the way. Now let's think about this. At full burn, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 3. Difficult choice. I think I'll go for the option that puts me closer. So I burn one of my fuel tokens and we go to full burn. Now this is where it gets interesting. So for my first move, bearing in mind this is my second action, I move 1 into border space. Let's just put the camera here so we can see what I'm up to. So I've moved 1 into border space and I draw an encounter card. Keep flying. So far, so good. 2. Ooh, derelict ship. Now I have a choice with this. I could either do a salvage op and load 2 cargo and come to a full stop, or I could keep flying. Now, a salvage op does require a test to pass. I'm not entirely sure whether I want to do this. Because it does require me to stop, and do I really need spare parts that badly at this stage? Because I am a bit in a hurry. I wonder. Sorry for my moment of indecision. It was all brought about by the fact that my low-life vulture here gives me an extra part from salvage ops as well as the cargo. Do you know what? I think I'll do it. I'll come to a full stop. We perform a salvage op and get 2 cargo and 1 spare part. Might as well be vultures. So I get my extra spare part, add it to my inventory. And I also load my cargo, which I'll be able to sell one day. So luckily for me, because it says cargo, it's legitimate cargo, not contraband. Contraband makes things tricky with the Alliance, but I've just picked some poor derelict's bones clean. Now, just flying quickly back to my ship, you can see I'm rapidly filling up my cargo hold. Had I found contraband, I would have stuck it in my stash to keep it safe from prying eyes, but as everything I've gathered is legitimate, it may as well go in my cargo hold. Now, hope I won't regret that decision because that does bring my turn to an end. So I give the dinosaurs to Malcolm Reynolds, who can now conduct his turn. Now, looking at his patient's job, he needs a firearm and transport. At the moment, he has neither. And he's on Osiris, so he can't really talk to a contact, but he can go shopping as his first action. So let's leave the camera on the heroic Malcolm Reynolds of the salvage scow SS Walden. Sorry, did I sound a bit contemptuous there? And let's see what Osiris has to offer him. So in the discard pile, there's a ship upgrade, fairly similar to the one I looked at. There's a Alliance sonic rifle. Ooh, that's not too bad. Not quite what he needs, though. It's not exactly a firearm. And Simon Tam's surgical kit. Again, it's not that much use to him just yet. A live medic would be a better option. So like I did, Malcolm Reynolds is going to take the top 3 cards from Osiris's ship deck. The first one he draws is a loot crate, which contains random stuff from Regina's deck. Now, Regina's a different world altogether. So, yeah, the loot crate sounds a bit chancy, really, because I mean, it could be useful, but 300 credits for something you're not entirely sure of, I'd be tempted to leave that. Expanded cargo hold, or a hacking rig, which is quite expensive. None of these are really what Malcolm wanted, so I suppose he could take his chances with the loot crate. All right, he's going to go for it. I'm hoping he's not wasting his money on this. He's going to hand the bank 1,000 credits of his precious cash supply. Get 700 back. And he's now going to remove this from play and see what he gets. So it's really going to be the first bit of gear that he draws. Ooh. That was a worthwhile investment, Malcolm. Inside his loot crate was a firearm. So in effect, he paid 300 credits for a 400 credit pistol, and he's got part of what he needs. Well done, sir. That was very sound in the end. Now, he really, in order to get to where he needs to do this job, he is going to have to travel as well. It's over in the Red Sun sector, Brisingamen. So he's going to have to... Actually, whereabouts is that? Brisingamen Himinborg. Oh, I see where it is. He's going to have to get himself from Osiris over to that system there. Now that offers him some opportunities because he could visit Badger and Amnon en route. so he could pick some more stuff up. I think as Osiris is proving a little bit dry at the moment, Mal is going to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. He could reach Persephone this turn if he goes to full burn. So maybe he might want to do that. Or he could go 1, let's see, 1, 2, 3. No, he can't quite reach. He can't quite reach the Space Bazaar. I think he's going to take the northern route via Bellerophon and try and reach Persephone. So, as I did on my turn, he burns some fuel and goes 1. Now note he's not going that way, and the reason is if that Alliance cruiser moves, it could make things tricky for him. So generally it's a good idea to keep away from the Alliance. So far so good. 2. Minor technical difficulty. So got a choice. We can go for just keeper in the air, which requires a tech roll, or swap in the spare, where you automatically keep flying if you swap in the spare. Now, unluckily for Captain Reynolds, on his own, he possesses no tech skill whatsoever, no spanner. So he has no real option but to use one of his spare parts, which he'll cash in to keep flying. So 3. Oh, good. Nice and uneventful. And 4. He has made it to Persephone. Oh, okay. Well, he's almost made it to Persephone. Detained for questioning requires discarding 1 crew. Well, he doesn't actually have any crew to discard. Or he can try being charming with his sidearms. That is no good, actually, because it's just him. Now, in situations like this, you can be a bit sneaky, and because captains are immune from this horrible stuff, he can just thank his lucky stars that he has no crew. Oh, but wait, it's a requirement, so he's going to have to try and talk his way out of it. Okay, right. Well, at best, let's see how he does. He really needs an 8 or better. So he's going to have to roll a 6 at least and hope he triggers the thrilling heroics mechanic. No, 5 plus his 1 charm gets him to 6. What is the result of that? So despite his best effort at being charming, Malcolm Reynolds has not impressed the Alliance, which means he has to now roll on his fighting ability. Oh dear. Mind you, he gets a +3 because he's got the pistol in addition to his natural talents. So he may yet get away with this. 6. No, he doesn't. So on a result of 1 to 7. Come on, camera. Come on, camera. Kill 1 crew. Warrant issued. Full stop. Okay, he has no crew who can be killed. He is served a warrant for committing crimes and he has to stop. Well, the only really painful bit there was the warrant, because it means he's now a wanted person. So one of these beautiful things, a warrant, has now been served on Malcolm's ship. And that also ends his turn, which means Although he's arrived safely at Persephone, he is now a wanted man, slightly poorer on fuel and spares than he was before, and it's just going to be slightly more difficult for him in an alliance-dominated part of space to do much in the way of business. Poor Malcolm. Meanwhile, back to me in the depths of space, now that we've finished picking the bones of that carcass, I'm going to remember, perhaps belatedly, that I have a job I was supposed to be doing. So I think I don't really want to mosey because it's a long way and I don't want to waste time. So I'm just going to suck it and burn more fuel. We're still just about in border space. Oh, navigational hazard debris field. Do I stop it? Oh no, not another salvage op. Don't tempt me. If I have a pilot, keep flying. I don't have a pilot. And that's spend an additional fuel. Oh, that's going to be painful. I might as well stop and take a look at this little salvage op. But even that's chancy. Oh, do you know what? It's going to cost me an additional fuel anyway, so I'm going to go for the salvage op. Besides, my low-life vulture of a scrapper might even make it worthwhile. So, looking at this card, I have to roll at least a 6 to succeed. And I get a +2. So let's roll them bones and take a look. No! I fail in the basic salvage op. So, yes, I just come to a full stop. Sigh. Really should not be taking me this long to get where I need to be. And unfortunately for me, because there's no system here, I forfeit my second turn. So that was just a colossal waste of time on my part. Meanwhile, what is poor Malcolm going to do in Persephone? I think he's going to go on a bit of a shopping trip. Now, like me, he's a little underwhelmed by what the place has to offer in its discard pile. So he is going to draw 3 fresh cards. He's got a Cortex uplink, but that's a lot of money. Hydraulic docking clamps. Crime jobs also count as salvage ops. Maybe. Dobson's vector pistol. Well, could be useful, but it's a lot of money and he's already got a firearm. No, he's not going to go for any of those. That was a little disappointing. He might just strike out. For the Space Bazaar to see what he can get his hands on. Because he really needs to find himself some transport. So he decides he's going to go to full burn again. He's still got a fair bit of fuel, so he's just going to go for it. And he's going to take a chance and stay in alliance space because it's a little bit quicker. So he's going to go 1. So far, so good. 2. Yay! Go Captain Reynolds. And 3. And he's just entered border space. Ah. Well, actually, happily for Malcolm, he's where he wants to be anyway. So taking the long way round and coming to a full stop is perfectly fine by him without having to burn any excess fuel. So that's his turn. Now, notice that now that we're getting into the pace of things, the turns are happening pretty quickly. So fast, in fact, I've been forgetting to give the dinosaurs back to their rightful holders. It doesn't really matter, there's only hypothetically the two of us. It's back to me. I'm not going to waste any more fuel. I'm just going to mosey into Beaumont. And for my second action, I am going to start my shopping trip. There's some tempting things here. There's a very nice ship upgrade that will help me go a lot faster. There's also a mudder who's also a grifter and gives me a bit extra by way of negotiation skill. And also, when you make work, he lets you take an extra load of money. The only thing is, he's a wanted man. And so far, all my crew are respectable folk. Well, nominally respectable folk. They haven't overtly broken the law, let's put it that way. Or we could get a labour contract for Silverhold. Silverhold is full of rough, tough roughnecks. Let's see what we've got down there. Ah. At the moment, there are no people in the Silverhold discard pile, just weapons. So the Silverhold labour contract is of very limited value to me at the moment. I think I'll hire the busker because he could be useful. I'm not so interested in... Well, I'm interested in the ship upgrade. So I will actually look at a third card. Medfoam. No, I'm not that caring an employer. I think I will purchase the ship upgrade, the emissions recycler, and hire the busker. That is a painful 1,000 credits. I hope this is going to be worth it. But I now have a slightly more formidable looking crew. We're a bit weak on the violent side, but hopefully we have enough by way of other talents to get us through this. No soldier, unfortunately. But we are fairly close to heaven, and it might be worth risking heading over there on my next turn to try and start the job. Moving back to Captain Reynolds, he is now in a position to do some shopping. Well, there's a scrapper who's not very savoury, but he does add a tech skill to the crew, and he is a pilot. You can't turn your nose up at that. There's hastily forged documents, but I don't know if Mal really needs fake ID at the moment. And there's tall playing cards, which again is not really... we could do a stint of gambling, I suppose. Depends whether Mal's feeling lucky. Do you know what? It's no cost to get them, so Mal's going to consider that one. He's definitely going to consider the scrapper. Not really going to consider the forged documents, so he'll draw a third card. Ooh, EVA suit. Crew aboard ship may ignore Alliance wanted crew roles. Well, that's not really a problem for Malcolm at the moment. Now, he'll leave the EVA suit. He's going to hire the scrapper. And he'll do a spot of recreational gambling, because why not? So he draws 5 misbehave cards, and if at least 3 of the 5 have matching suits, he gets 1,500 back. Let's see what happens. Malcolm Reynolds is in luck. 3 cards have matching suits. Nice. So he has just made a fair bit of money back, which, to be honest, I'm somewhat envious of, because at the moment all I've been doing is hemorrhaging cash, which is not so good. Going to have to catch up on that. So yeah, Malcolm has done that. He still needs to find himself some transport. They do have horses, if he's having trouble elsewhere. They do have horses down in Silverhold. Might be worth him making another trip. So he's done his shopping. Going to burn some more fuel. And start heading down to Silverhold. He is doing this the long way, but I must say he's padding his crew out better than I am. So 1. Ooh, she's tore up plenty. Requires mechanic. He does not have a mechanic. Ooh, he may have a breakdown. So he's got to roll, and he adds 1 for the scrapper. Ooh, that could scupper him, I wonder. 3, 4. Yep, he loses 2 fuel, and he's got to come to a full stop. Oh dear. Really need to look after that old junker of yours, Mal. So that ends his turn rather abruptly, unfortunately, and he is in a bit of a parlous state because he only has 1 spare and 1 lot of fuel left. I mean, he is in a fairly well-inhabited part of the system, so if things go wrong for him and he has to mosey, he'll lose a couple of turns, but he's not too far away from civilized places. I think next turn he's probably going to press on to Silverhold. Meanwhile, I feel like taking a risk of my own. I'm going to burn some fuel and see if I can get us to heaven. So 1. Oh no, Reaver's on the hunt. I wondered when these guys would start getting active. So, in theory, if he were here, Malcolm would probably move, just to make life very difficult. 1 Reaver ship onto Mr. Universe's spot in the Cortex, so the Reavers are getting a bit bold. Luckily for me, I'm not too bothered because I'm all the way over here. So I'm going to move into heaven for my second move. Hope there's no more trouble. Oh no, really? Gravwell maneuver. Requires pilot. No. Do I have a pilot? I do not have a pilot. Of course I don't have a pilot. If in a planetary sector... Oh, I know I don't. Or steady at the helm, keep flying. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm here anyway. Yay, we've made it. So, I have made it to heaven. And I am going to declare the start of my job for patience, robbing heaven. Totally illegal and utterly immoral. And I'm going to bolt on Mr. Universe's little job too. So no negotiating. It's fine, I wasn't planning on it anyway. And we have to get through 3 misbehave cards in order to get paid. Now, just so everyone is aware, because this is a ground mission, I am taking my entire crew with me, just in case we suffer casualties. So the first of our misbehave cards, Dockside Scanner. I can't really take option 2 because I don't want to botch the job. I do get +2 to a roll, but if I fail, I get a warrant issued. Oh dear, this is tricky. How brave am I feeling? Not very, to be honest. With my +2, I'd still need to roll a 6 at the very least in order to proceed. I am going to cough up 100 and we'll botch the job this turn. Much as it pains Atherton Wing to walk away in defeat, it's far better than losing the job altogether. At least by botching it, I can attempt the job again next turn. So somewhat disappointed and utterly defeated by the flaming dockside bureaucracy of all things, I go home in a bit of a huff. The job remains revealed next to my ship card, and I can attempt it again next turn. So at the end of my unsuccessful turn, that's what I look like now. Sigh. Oh well, how's Mr. Reynolds doing? Hopefully terrible. Now, he's got to think about this. He's just enough spaces away to make it worth it. He's going to burn the last of his fuel and take a bit of a risk. So, 1. Ooh, persistent pursuit. Right. No idea who the Alliance operative is working for, but he is going to begin moving closer to Mal. So if I can cause dear old Mal problems, then I will. Mal's going to get to Silverhold, or will he? Ooh, okay. Now, that's an interesting one, so I get to move a Reaver ship this time. Now, to be perfectly honest, I don't want a sky full of Reavers. This is not really what we want, but I don't know. Gonna have to move one of them out. Don't really want him penetrating too far out because most of the work we want to do is going to be for patience over there. So I'm going to move this far one just out there. So we pay our taxes for, isn't the Alliance supposed to take care of these people? So Malcolm has made it to Silverhold, and for his second turn, he is going to shop. Now it's tempting for him to get a weapon for his scrapper as well, especially as he's come into some decent money. Or he could get an explosive charge, which is temporary, but useful to have around. I mean, that's an expensive bit of equipment. You probably wouldn't want to go for that unless you really had to. He's going to go for the safe bet and just consider buying his new man a pistol. But he's also mindful he needs to find transport. So he draws the next two cards and, oh, okay. We have Elder Goman, who is a good talker but is moral. Mind you, he's not going to be for an immoral job. Ooh, and he comes on for free. Ah, that's a horse of a different colour, isn't it? Right, with all due respect to the poor mudder, we're not going to hire them. He will welcome aboard Elder Goman because that's a fair bit of skill for no charge. And he will cough up some money for his subordinate's firearm. Now, admittedly, this does not help him with transport, but hopefully if he stays on Silverhold another turn, he will be able to find what he's looking for. He doesn't feel quite ready to begin this job just yet, and to be honest, he has my sympathies. So I realise I've been going on with this for an hour now, so I'm just going to zoom back out. I think I will call it here. You've seen most of the functions of the game, including me attempting a job and tripping up on the first hurdle. So in terms of completing the game and finishing our ultimate objectives, both Captain Reynolds and I have a really long way to go because we've not even proven our worth yet. But we will get there. With a bit of luck, I'm hoping to get solid with both Patient and Mr. Universe. And if Malcolm Reynolds gets his bum in gear, he won't be too far behind me. And then, of course, we'll be looking to hire more crew with more guns so we could take on the three goals that will eventually, hopefully, see one of us being the first to win the game. And so there we are. Neither of us is off to a quick start, but I think my somewhat hasty let's just go for it and fly by the seat of our pants didn't work out as well as I hoped it would. But in some respects I am better off than Mal, because at least I'm better supplied and I do have a larger crew. Mal over here has been playing more of a careful game, but it's costing him because he is also going to have to buy himself some fuel at some point. He could, in theory, have bought more fuel while he was shopping for his additional crew of men, but I think he's waiting to see how things will pan out on the recruitment front so that he knows how much he'll have available to spend. That's a fair enough strategy. So, who's going to come out on top? Well, it's really too early to say. Thematically, we all know it would be Malcolm Reynolds, but I'd like to see a universe where Atherton Wing maybe not gets one over him, but has a minor triumph at his expense. Just a teeny tiny one. But I hope that has been useful. I've had loads of fun doing this demonstration game for you. I hope that it will encourage you into the wonderful, wonderful universe that is Firefly the Game. This game, for what it is incredibly cheap. I was checking today, and you can get copies in the United Kingdom of the core game for less than £30. And the big expansions, Kalidasa and Blue Sun, are about half that. The other smaller expansions, I mean, they cost about the same as a pint and a meal at a pub. Don't, for the amount of replay and the amount of fun you get out of these, it is a ridiculously affordable game. And the beauty of it is, you could just play with the core set if you wanted to. It would be as much fun, because that's how I started off. My first few games were just with the core set, and they were amazing. So I hope you get a chance to try this out, and I hope this video has whetted your appetite for a bit more. I will, as is my habit, come back for some final thoughts, maybe after I've played this one through to a conclusion, gone down happy memory lane for a bit. I'll tell you how it went. But as always, I realise this has been a bit of a long one. Thank you so much for joining me and tagging along on this video. As always, your company is greatly appreciated. And if any of you are dipping into my channel for the first time, a huge, huge welcome, as warm as the one I always extend to my regulars. Thank you for stopping by, all of you, and for tuning in to the channel. And I really look forward to seeing you all next time. Take care for now. Bye.